Day 11 of our devotional reflections on questions from the book of Revelation. Today, finally, one that isn't quite as heavy as the topic of hell or the mark of the beast. The question is, how are we to understand and reflect on the way the elders and creatures worshiped God in heaven? So, this is a reference to Revelation chapter 4, and let me just step back and note that worship is our natural response to something that is amazing. And we all worship. We can't help but worship. The question is, are we going to worship God or something else? And so I, always jokingly note that in the fall, the largest worship the largest churches, worship centers in any town is the football stadium, where, hundreds, if not tens of thousands, 100,000 people worship, and they jump up and down, and they clap, and they cheer, and they sit on the edge of their seats, and they celebrate, and they sing, and they high five each other, and they're amazed, and they respond in amazement. So we are wired to worship. It is one of the things that happens. And biblical worship is when we actually are being amazed by who God is and are responding in heartfelt ways to God's glory. So what we read about, by the way, of course, that's not generally what happens on a Sunday morning. I've been at times where it does feel like heaven, breaks through for a bit, but I've been in a lot more times when it doesn't feel like that's happening. But what we have in Revelation chapter 4 is a glimpse into the heavenly throne room, and we're told that there are 24 elders there. And 4 living creatures. So it's not a casual group. This is some sort of elite group of people, and they've gathered around the throne of God. And we're told, quote, "Day and night they never stop saying, 'Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty, who was and is to come.'" So apparently, nobody is checking their watch. No one is wondering if they know the words to the song. No one is worried about being off key. They're consumed, they're captivated, they're joyful, they're overwhelmed. They're in this constant sort of reflective amazement, and it is being directed towards God. Now, I am not suggesting that we are expected to manufacture that, right? That somehow we've got to generate that kind of emotional response. It's not the emotional display necessarily that God is after. It is an authentic recognition of who He is, and it's our surrender and acknowledgement of that. So in many churches, people sort of respond and say, well, I didn't like the worship today, or I wasn't into the worship, or I don't like that worship leader, or I don't like that style of worship. And some of the assumption there is that I'm the audience and it needs to feel right to me. And I don't want to completely stiff arm comments and reflections on engagement of our heart, and to recognize that some songs are more captivating or more beautiful, or they connect with us more. And I don't want to completely stiff arm that, but I do want to make the point that when you come to a, quote, worship service, you are not the audience. God is the audience, and you are simply one of the actors. You are a worshiper. We are expected to worship God. And when we don't, right, when we worship something else, we lose. So God is God's aseity. God is perfectly perfect. He doesn't need our worship. This is not about God needing His ego stroked. God is perfectly God. He doesn't need our affirmation. I don't, just like, C.S. Lewis said, I don't need my dog to bark his approval of my books, right? I mean, it doesn't mean anything. But we are completed in the act of worshiping God. part of what we've got to get right. We've got to rightly order our heart. We've got to rightly order our fears. When those things start to come together and our heart is responding the way it could and should, then that is the life that we have been invited to live, and it's the life that works. So worship is to be constant. Worship is to be joy-filled. Worship is to be humble. And it's not about whether or not you have a good voice. It's about whether you have a grateful heart. So next time you are in a worship service, I want to encourage you, whether it's at a service or it's just you're singing and reflecting on God while you're driving in your car, or sitting in your house, whatever. Don't worry about your voice. Worry about your heart. And worry about whether you're giving God what he deserves. So how could you be like the elders and the other living creatures here who are engaged with their whole hearts and they're giving God their full attention and undivided praise? The day is coming. Revelation promises us that the day is coming when every tribe, tongue, and nation will sing in unison, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain." We long for that day. Have a good day.